Tonight, our coverage as U.S. families file a lawsuit against the Iranian government, Hamas, and Hezbollah for October 7th attacks. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. 37 families have filed a lawsuit in U.S. federal court against Iran and its proxies for their involvement in the October 7th attacks. The lawsuit targets Iran's government, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and several militant groups classified as terrorist organizations in the U.S., including Hamas and Hezbollah. The plaintiffs are all U.S. citizens with ties to Israel. They are seeking damages for wrongful death, mental anguish, and economic losses. They are seeking $1 billion in damages. The lawsuit alleges Iran played a central role in planning, financing, and coordinating the attack. The plaintiffs accuse Iran and its proxies for carrying out horrific acts of violence, including burning victims alive and committing sexual violence. This comes as the allegations of burning victims alive and acts of sexual violence have been debunked by many media outlets and independent investigators. Former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and the Independent Alliance of MPs have sent 2 letters to UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Attorney-General Lord Hermer. In the letter, the politicians are challenging the denials of genocide in Gaza. The move follows Starmer's dismissal of such claims during Prime Minister's questions. Starmer's stance has been supported by Foreign Secretary David Lammy. The letters argue Starmer's denial disregards international law and the suffering of Palestinians. They say that genocide's legal definition focuses on intent, not on the number of deaths. They demand clarity on whether the Prime Minister has sought legal advice on the issue. In the letter, MPs also question whether the UK government has contradicted United Nations reports and preempted decisions by international courts. The MPs are calling for transparency and an end to UK arms sales to Israel. The move comes as Israel faces an ongoing investigation by the International Court of Justice. Multiple global bodies have condemned Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide. Russia has warned that Ukraine's use of long-range missiles against its territory signals a new phase in the ongoing war. It vows to respond accordingly. This comes as a recent attack targeted a Russian military facility in Bryansk near the Ukrainian border. The incident occurred shortly after the U.S. approved the use of the missiles for Ukrainian strikes. Moscow claims Ukraine fired 6 missiles, with 5 intercepted by air defenses. Russia accuses the U.S. of assisting Ukraine in operating the missiles. Kiev denies the claims. President Vladimir Putin has lowered the threshold for deploying nuclear weapons. The move is being condemned as irresponsible by the West. Israeli airstrikes have intensified overnight in the Middle East. In Gaza, incessant attacks have killed dozens. Israeli jets have targeted homes in the besieged enclave, killing at least 16 Palestinians. 85 have been injured. In Jabalia, 12 civilians have been killed. Several victims are trapped under the rubble. In a separate incident, an airstrike in Beit Lahia has killed 8 Palestinians. Medical sources report dire conditions at Gamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza. 85 patients, including women and children, are at risk due to a lack of medical supplies. Israeli forces are preventing aid from reaching the facility. The hospital's upper floors have been damaged in a recent attack. The Israeli military is reporting the death of 1 soldier and the injury of another in northern Gaza. Over 800 Israeli soldiers have been killed since the onset of war. At least 43,985 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces. More than 100,000 are injured. Israel faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its deadly war on Gaza. In Lebanon, Israel's military has struck over 100 targets as fighting continues between Israeli forces and Hezbollah. 3 Lebanese soldiers have been killed and 4 United Nations peacekeepers have been wounded. On the diplomatic front, U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein has postponed his visit to Israel to engage in further ceasefire talks in Beirut. In Lebanon, at least 3,544 people have been killed since October last year. 15,036 have been injured. The United States has imposed sanctions on a major Israeli settler group for perpetuating violence in the occupied West Bank. The Treasury Department announced Monday that the group Amana is now sanctioned alongside its subsidiary Binyanei Bar Amana. Amana was founded in 1979. It plays a central role in building settlements and outposts in the occupied West Bank, often in violation of international law. Its activities have drawn international criticism, particularly for its links to settler violence. The U.S. sanctions freeze the assets of Amana and Binyanei Bar Amana in the country and block financial transactions involving American individuals or institutions. These sanctions come after Canada imposed similar measures in July this year. The sanctions could have significant economic ramifications for Israeli banks and businesses working with Amana. The settlers living in the organization's 83 settlements in the West Bank could also face the effects. Israeli anti-settlement group Peace Now estimates Amana's assets are around $161 billion. Tens of thousands of indigenous Maori are protesting against a bill introduced in New Zealand. They say the bill undermines the Treaty of Waitangi. The treaty is a historic agreement signed in 1840 between Maori chiefs and British colonizers. The bill was introduced on November 14th. It seeks to redefine the treaty's principles, a move critics argue could erode Maori rights. The protest included a 9-day hikoi and a haka dance by Maori parliamentarians. The ACT Party has introduced the bill. The party says it will end race-based politics and promote equality. However, Maori leaders warned the bill, if passed, could erase their self-governance and rights. Ontario's Education Minister Jill Dunlop is collaborating with YouTube executives in an effort to tackle classroom distractions caused by social media. Dunlop is discussing strategies for protecting students online. In October, Dunlop held her first meeting with YouTube. She says it is very important to safeguard students. Dunlop says social media ban can also be considered. Dunlop is determined to continue these conversations with other social media platforms. However, the timeline for meeting with other executives remains unclear. Meanwhile, some school boards in Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa have filed a $4 billion lawsuit against Meta, Snapchat, and TikTok. The boards accuse the platforms of negatively impacting children's attention spans and education. Muslim Association in Williams Lake in British Columbia is working to create a central place for the growing Muslim population. There are nearly 50 Muslims in the town. The group has expressed the need for a mosque as a hub for prayer, education, and cultural connection. Currently, Muslims gather in a small rented apartment. However, the lack of space limits their ability to connect fully. Imran Khan, co-director of the Williams Lake Muslim Association, hopes to build a mosque that will help the community to stay connected. Khan is also advocating for the introduction of halal food options in local stores. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam and good night.